wholeheartedly into democracy, or we're a Democrat or we're a Republican. And what we have to look at is, what has those parties done for us? I wrote down a lot of questions, which we'll get into later on, but these are challenging questions about the political parties. And so we pay our taxes, like it or not. People may say we're citizens or we're not, but we have a right to say what we're going to say tonight about these political parties, because they've not done us any well.
All right, let me see if the video will play for y'all. So I want y'all to hear the audio that prompted us to do this. Let's see if it'll go on. And it's not. So let's get into this, the voting thing and the party thing, like you said. And all kind of technical difficulties, man. I mean, because everything was planned.
Yeah,
and it's just it's not planned for us. But what it was is it was a Republican and a Democrat talking, and they were talking about how they use Black people. And my thing is, I hear a lot of people say voting and the importance of voting and everything like that. So I'm gonna ask the question: is voting important? Do you think voting is important?
Well, I think when we look at the importance of voting, I've always looked at the outcome of voting. Whatever we do, let's look at the outcome of it. Look at our condition as a people, and we can answer that question. We have to make sure that we take care of our own in whatever we have. We must put those things together. What I'm speaking of in terms of our political future, we voted since we were able to vote. We're still fighting now, many of us, to vote. And if a person is, headstrong about voting, that's your prerogative. But the question still has to be answered. What has that done for us, man? What has it done for us as a group of people? Not one or two people, not the wealthy, not the middle class, so-called, but what has it done for us as a group of people the way it has done for other people?
Right. And my thing is, I hear people say, if it wasn't important, then why would they go to the limits that they go to stop us from voting?
Yeah.
And that's a valid question if you're just looking at a superficial level, because the reason who it's important to is those that's running, because they want to stop us from voting because we always vote for one party, no matter what. So of course the Republicans from voting. That's the reason that they want to stop us from voting. They want to stop us because we always vote blue,
right.
And therefore they're going to put the effort. They're going to try to kill no matter any votes that's going for the opposition, no matter what group it is. So that's why they go to those extents, because they want to win the election.
Right.
Not that they feel like it's going to help us improve. They just feel like it's going to help them lose if we're able to vote.
Yeah, and I look at it too like this: regardless of which party is in control, because we've been in this country for many, many years, and you've had Democratic houses, you had Republican houses, but I still look at our condition. And we have to come to the conclusion that no matter who's in control, no matter who's in power, no matter what type of president that we have, we always tend and seem to get the short end of the stick. And that's what we have to talk about tonight is, why are we so gung-ho to get involved in something that doesn't mean us any good? Why can't we start doing things, whether it's within our own communities? Because we have these issues that some of them we can solve. And some of them we do have to challenge this government because it put us in this position. But we go, these parties for me, Kev, are nothing more than con artists, tricksters. They pit you and I against one another, where you and I are arguing because of your political party. But the bottom line is, our people as a whole, we don't have much to show after all these years of voting. So we have to be honest about that too.
And also, I want to say this. I think voting is important, but it's not the end all be all. Because some of the things that we gripe about on the chessboard, they control with voting, with the things that they're able to pass. So if something is legal and they're able to legally manipulate and hold you down, then you are at a loss. But my thing is, when we think that voting is going to solve our issues, I think it can help us fight our issues. I'm gonna say this: we need to stop partying. This is the thing. Okay. Stop affiliating yourself with any certain party, because that's not to our advantage.
That's it.
And the thing is, vote on virtue. Vote on right and wrong. When I'm saying voting, I'm not talking about candidates, but I'm talking about issues.
Okay.
Proposition this and that, this and that. I don't care if it's a red, proposition or a blue proposition, or because the party. The reason I'm talking about partying, the country has become so divided, even in other people, that it's either a liberal or conservative. It's not just a liberal and conservative. It's my issue whether I think this is right or wrong. Well, you know what? I'm not for everybody being able to, or anybody being able to have a weapon or go purchase a weapon. I think it should be stricter guidelines. That's not a liberal, as far as I was told, that's not a liberal thing. I don't care whether it's a liberal or conservative thing. That's my thing. And that's how we gotta stop partying, because when you partying, you're gonna go with everything that's liberal.
Yeah.
And the other people is doing the same thing. They're going with everything conservative, and you're just running with that party no matter what the issue. And that's a problem.
Yeah, and I also look at it like this, Kevin. I understand exactly what you're saying, but I look at what some of our ancestors have said, especially Malcolm X. When he put it in simple terms, in layman's terms, when he talked about how this whole country is conservative, regardless of whether you're a Democrat or Republican, you're conservative. In other words, you want to keep the things that are oppressive against African Americans the same. So regardless of what you say you are, your bottom line is to keep your thumb or your foot on our necks. And because we have gotten caught up into this conservative and this liberal concept, we kind of think that one party may be better for us as opposed to the other. But when you look at, after all these years, we have not made gain. People can say, well, we're able to do certain things. Well, we should be able to do those things if we're citizens. But again, the conservative aspect and ideology of it is that all of these people, I should say, if you ask all of them, let's tear it down and start all over again, you're going to find real soon what these people really mean and think about you, because they're not going to do it. And they wouldn't even think like that. But yet they want you to think that you have arrived because you may be a person that looks like me and you live in a certain zip code, so to speak. That has nothing to do with our come up, if you will.
And I don't think for us to come up, they have to tear, because they're not going to tear everything down. So I don't think we should think like that. Yeah. And to me, it's more preservative. They want to preserve a lifestyle that they have.
Of course.
America is a capitalism first. Before you talk about liberals and conservatives, it's a capitalism where the rich is running the country.
That's true.
And the rich are in the Congress and the white. Most of them are millionaires and everything like that. So we have to understand that it's a preservative. They want to preserve this American lifestyle where they're able to keep money, keep getting money, and keep you at a certain level. So while we're sitting there voting, we should be using voting as a strategy. And it can't be a strategy if you're always voting one way or following one side. You got to, hey, if this is what you want from us, it's not coming free.
Right.
You got to start, okay, what are we getting out of it? These are some of the things we need passed. And we got to look at people that understand the things that's happened locally in our governments, and I mean statewide and things like that.
Right.
When you're talking about them being able to gentrify places, and there's renters protection and things like that you can vote for, or have a candidate or have people to represent you vote for it. But we wonder why they're able to gentrify our areas and move us out, raise the prices up. But if you had that type of protection, it wouldn't happen.
Right. And these are some of the questions that I wrote down, because it's very, very many questions, and I don't want to bore you to death, but these are some of the questions that we have to continue to ask ourselves when we talk about politics, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. And these questions are really to both parties, if you will. And check this out, Kev. From a historical accountability standpoint, here's a question that we still are talking about, so many years later. And here it is. How do you acknowledge and address the historical neglect and systematic injustices that African Americans face day to day due to the policies and the practice that your party has put into place? See, another question is this: what specific policies will you implement to close the racial wealth gap? I mean, there's so much of a gap within African Americans and Europeans. And what I don't get is people like Hispanics and people like Asians and people like Africans from the continent has come over here, and they are economically more well off than we are, and we've been here the longest. So that to me doesn't make sense when you look at the economic disparity that we have. the equality and that type of thing, the criminal justice. We can go on and on and on. These are questions that politics is supposed to answer and deal with, as opposed to just stringing us along, making us thinking that we've come a long way, man, because we can drink out the same water fountain.
Let me go to the economics of it. One thing that I look at, black people, African Americans, we always want to compare our economic situation or status with the oppressors. We're never going to catch them. We're not supposed to catch them. And it's going to take some type of collapse for them to, and that's not going to happen. I mean, we're not, so us comparing, they have a head start. They have a reason that they have a head start. That head start is not going to be erased. They're not going to erase it themselves. So my thing is not comparing what we don't have to what they do have, but comparing why we're not able to standardize our own economics and our own communities, because there's other people, like you named some people coming over here, immigrants. They have better standings than us economically because they do differently with their money. I don't think they have more money than us. Some of them are able to have a better job, a better living, but they don't have. It's no Nigerian neighborhood or city in America. Or mostly Nigerian neighborhood in anywhere in America, for them to say that they have more economics. So I don't care if you're talking about Indian, the Jews, you can look at what they have, but they have power within, they play chess within America. They got people in powerful places to get things done for them, but also what they do, they move together, they share the same common religion, and they pool their resources. We don't do those type of things. We don't have one religion. We don't have one anything, and we don't pool our money. So we could look at them and think that they have money, but they don't. If you look at the economics in America, they don't have more money than us. You know, we have more money than certain countries that go through our hands, but we are set up to be giving it away to other people, and then we have to stop that to become powerful.
And that goes back to the politics, because the way the system is set up. I mean, we've been in this country for so many years, let's say even more than 300 years. And so just logic and just reasoning would say that we should have and be in a better position as a people. And it's due to largely racism. Racism is not something that we can sweep under the carpet to say that, well, because we've been here this long, we should be at a certain distance, when every time you look around the policies that are passed and also the economic disparaging and all of the things that have happened, people for over 400 years, and we still work for them today. So we can't pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. I think the truth is in both aspects of the government has continued to do us in, and it's doing us in now when it comes to the policies, when it comes to the practices, and then the mental aspect, which it has taught most of us to be against our own interests. So you got a lot of things going on that's working against us. And I think the Asians, when you look at them as a group of people, they do have quite a bit of resources, even though they may, and a lot of Asians never talk about voting. But when you look at the Asian population, they're well off because of people like us who go to their shops and to buy their hair and to do these types of things. They send their money back to Asia. They bring their people over here. They can afford to do that because they haven't had to deal with what we've had to deal with. And because many of us, we don't think like you and I are talking to say, hey, let's put ourselves in that position because we've been here long enough. So because of all those things working against us, you're going to find that it's going to continuously be us at the bottom. Country who never did want us over here other than for our labor, and that's what they want us here for today.
Okay, and my proposal for our is use the politics as much as you can, but at the end of the day, a politician is not going to be, even if you have a black politician, he's not going to be able to change America. America is going to preserve her stance in the world. She's her people, whatever she wants. So we got to be able to work and circumnavigate, regardless, and do things like you say. If you talk about the Asians, you never hear about the Jews talking about who they vote for or supporting a certain party. The Asians don't do that either because it doesn't really matter and affect them to the point that it's a bit concerned. They probably say, well, I'm going to vote for this guy because he believes in something closer to what I believe in. But the politics don't affect them as much because they have that shield around their community that no matter who's in office, we're going to support us and do what we have to do, put our kids in school, have things and put them in high places. They're going to turn around and help our people. We get kids that's smart and we send them to school and they're out for self. They assimilate to America, which is part of the racism that they're affected by. But we have to curtail that. We have to bring that light, shed that light, and say, look, bring up kids that's going to understand what's happening.
Right.
You know, if you go to their it's nothing wrong with you going to the University of Michigan or Duke or anything like that and getting you a doctorate or whatever and making a lot of money. But when you make that money, use that path to come back and support your own and do it like that.
That's true. And that's awesome. That's really true. And what I'm looking at too, and in addition to what you're saying, to add to it, when you get a group of people who really have low self-esteem, and when I say that rather, I mean it in these terms, Brother Kevin. I mean it like this. We have brought into the idea that there's this dream that all of us are looking for. It's an American dream. And all we want in this society is a house, a family, a picket fence. You know, we want to have everything that other people have. And so to our detriment, we die looking for that. And we feel as though we're failures if we don't get that. So when we plug into these politics and all of the stuff that they've sold us to make us think you're going to get there. So if you vote, you're going to be able to one day get there. If you do all these things that they're telling us to do, as opposed to being honest and saying this is nothing more than a control system. It controls us. That's what politics does. I don't care whether you're a Democrat. I don't care whether you're a Republican. Look at all the political parties that have come through this country. Look at all of them, the Federalists, the Whigs, the Traditionalists. Look at the Green Party. Look at all these parties. And we're still talking like we're talking today. So that means that we are going to have to not only expose what's going on in politics, but we have to do some of the things that we're talking about when it comes to our own selves, starting our own schools, helping our own people, going to Black businesses, supporting Black businesses. That's a jump start. Now, it's not going to happen overnight, but we have too many people that looks like us that have been taught that the way that you do politics is you join in with a group of people who promises you a lot of lies and never fulfill, but you're always looking forward to that day where you can sit and your kids can hold hands. And I'm not trying to belittle anything that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, that we can hold hands with little white boys and little white girls. And, you know, these other types of things that most of us are looking for. And we don't want to be honest about it because too many of us have brought into this ideology of the Democratic Party, some the Republican Party, and now it has pit us against one another. And therefore, the dominoes are just falling.
Right. And like I said, we're partying and we're dreaming too, because that's a dream. And you got to realize that that's not what America's about. You have to, and it's culture assimilation, because what the culture assimilation has done is we have become a part of this American culture that they wanted us to be a part of. But if you look at America and if you actually culture assimilate, you hear the phrase a dog eat dog world. A lot of people think it's doggy dog. No, it's not a little cute dog. It's dog eat dog. This is what America is about. America is about competition. If you don't think like me, then I'm out to destroy you. What dog eat dog means is that the competition is fierce. They're going to climb over you. They're going to walk over you, and they're going to destroy you if you don't think the way that they think.
True.
And if we don't culture assimilate to that reality and understand who we're dealing with, because they're pacifying us, but they're killing us.
Right.
They're pacifying us with cyanide. They're pacifying us so that we can never stand up on our own and be able to be strong in our own communities. So we have to realize that if we look at America and how she operates, like you said, the Republican and the Democrat, it's basically a two-party system. We need to say, well, okay, what about the independent? You know, I want to run independent. I want to do whatever, and whatever I mean, you hold them hostages. You hold them hostages. We're not going to do that because we got what Malcolm X said, all these handkerchief heads, right? And all these people that's running the politics. And I'm not saying it in a way that you don't use politics to your advantage, but don't think that politics is going to save us. We got to save ourselves and use politics as a tool along the way to do that.
And the handwriting is on the wall, because I can continue with my questions when it comes to the educational system. What measures will we take to ensure equal access to equity when it comes to, or equality in our education, American children, and address the disparities, I should say, in school funding and resources? Now, we know that all these questions I'm asking, I'm trying to be facetious. I'm not saying this to say this is going to happen. I'm showing you that after 300, 400 years, we're still asking the same questions that we asked at the beginning. How will we address the healthcare disparities and the disproportionately African American communities that are affected by healthcare? Diabetes, we're suffering more than any people because of what we're putting in our bodies, but at the same time, these are a legitimate question that we have. Housing discrimination, we still complain about housing discrimination and talking about affordable housing, and we've talked about that for many years. That's all about a politic. That's politics, because most of the times when you have people running, what are they going to tell you? Okay, Kev, I'm going to make sure that you can live in affordable housing. So here we run in saying, oh, I'm going to vote for this man. But as soon as he gets in office, or this woman, they're not a bit more thinking about affordable housing for you or I than anybody. So then we have to say, okay, what will we do? And after all these years, we still think that this system we live in, this two-party system that's mainly running this country, many of us will die thinking that one day, Kev, just one day, these parties are going to deliver us, just like many people in religion are waiting for somebody to come to save them out of the hell that we're living in today, to take them away from all of this. So we're living in a fantasy land, a fairy tale type of story. And this is why a lot of these things have crippled us.
What's happening in a microcosm here in America is happening in a macrocosm in the world, to Africa. Now, what's happening in Africa today is you got other countries that's moving in and trying to loan them money and give them things to help them out. And the same thing with us, we're looking for people to give us affordable housing.
Talk, man.
Now, the thing is, if someone gives you something, they're going to expect something in return. They're going to respect the vote, and they can take that away. They have power. If they could give it to you, then they can take it away. My thing is, stop asking for people to give stuff. Even if you do it strategically and say, okay, well, give me this, but you know what? Be working to do that stuff on your own. And the way that we could have affordable housing is if we control our own housing in our community and rent it to our own people. If we have our own food resources, I mean, there's nothing stopping us from buying land when those that have the money to do that and coming up with own products, produce and whatnot, and thinking with the mindset that this is for us. Like I was talking about the immigrants too. The Chinese people, when they come over here, they look for other people that's like them, and they try to build up the little community. I don't care whatever immigrants you want to name. Koreans, they got a part of town in every city where they look for the same people that look like them, the Indian people, whatever, and then they start building up. They put a religious institution up, they put up restaurants, and then they try to take care of each other. And do that, and we don't have that. We are pushed together, but we're forced to be together.
Right.
So much so that we try to get away from each other as soon as we get a little change, instead of trying to better our predicament.
Exactly. And we're still sitting around waiting for unfulfilled promises to take effect. These promises that we get every 4 years, we get promises of someone's going to get into the White House and going to deliver us from all of our sins and evils, and this Savior is going to come and save us. And they take the votes that those who do vote, they take our votes for granted, the Democratic Party and sometimes the Republican Party as well. And so these types of that they're playing on us, these games are still being played. The Democratic Party, it does not intend to address these issues. The Republican Party does not intend to address these issues. Why would I be a person of European descent in power politically, economically, socially? Why would I want you to come up to me and replace me based upon something you can do to help me as far as a vote is what I'm saying. So what I'm trying to get at is it's the same old song and dance, and it hasn't changed yet. But again, it's our mindset. I go back to what you're saying. A lot of this has to do with us. People like you and I to have these kind of discussions, we're seen as dinosaurs. We're seen as people who are basically old and outdated. So there's a new regime in, and now the new regime is, learn how to play a sport, get a lot of money, marry a European woman, and live happily ever after. And these are the mindsets that we're dealing with today, and that also involves politics.
Yeah, and to answer some of those questions, like I was saying, I wish I could get to answer what I think we could do to circumnavigate through some of the issues that we have. And like you said, the education thing, I don't think we need to be asking them to help us, or we could charge them, you need to help us do this. But the thing is, we're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So we're starting this. We're starting to do this. We're developing our own mindsets and doing it, not the mindset that they are creating within us to say for yourself. Because Europeanism is individualism.
Mm-hmm.
That doggy dog world is eating someone that looks like you. A dog eats a dog, that's cannibalism.
Mm-hmm.
We have to get away from cannibalism at the lower end of the scale and get to compatibilism.
Mm-hmm.
We got to be compatible with each other. Only way we're going to be compatible with each other is to accept our differences and our beliefs or whatever we're doing and try to work together amongst each other to get away from that doggy dog world, because we're eating each other. They're creating cannibals.
Mm-hmm.
We'll chew each other up,
mm-hmm.
fight with each other, and devour each other over businesses. We'll compete with each other instead
mm-hmm.
of doing things together. Okay, you got this place, I got this place. Let's develop our community. Instead, we're fighting with each other. Everyone has to be first. Mm-hmm. I'm better than you. I'm better than you. I'm better than you. He's better than him.
Mm-hmm.
We do it amongst, when we look at our celebrities, no matter what, we got that mindset. Yeah. Somebody has to go. Everybody, that's cannibalism. Right. We got to be more compatible with each other. Catabolism is what we need to get to. Catabolism is a molecular process where you take something that's larger and you break it down into the quality. I'm saying, like, if we do it on the quality of something, get rid of the garbage, get rid of that mindset, the dreaming, the partying, somebody talking like that, and get into the basic fundamentals, which is Black power, African American building of our own culture, having that type of mindset. Get rid of all the chasing of materials and wanting, like you said, this status and all these things like that. Get back to the core values of our people.
Right. You know what? That was very profound what you said, Kevin. I appreciate that. But what I want to add to that is this: that the key word that you talked about in what you just said was that mindset. That's crucial. It's the mindset, because listen, most of us, we want to be so much like Europeans. And even if we do get power, even if we do get status, even if we do get whatever we're achieving to get, we take what we get and we then turn it and sisters, you see. So basically, we're doing the very same thing that we complain that other people are doing to us as far as the oppression, because of money, or we live in a different part of the neighborhood. So the mindset, once again, is what we have to continue to address, because we've been taught everything that we know since we were little bitty kids. We've been taught by a system, and that doesn't leave us just because two guys are talking on a broadcast. That has to be dealt with, and until we come to grips with what we need to do to better ourselves, to better our communities, to give sacrifices like those of old have done, and sell out for the betterment of a people, then we're just going to continue to go around in circles, because again, it's this mindset, man. When I get mine, I'm going to look down upon you. I'm going to say, I made it. You have to come here. And we have too many people that think like that, like you just mentioned. Too many people who, I got mine, you get yours. I remember when the rappers first came out, they were hardcore. Many of them were hardcore. And you would never think that when they made it, that they would turn in a sense where now they're millionaires. And I'm not knocking the status of where they are, but a lot of them are now looking down on us. They've turned in their backs on us. They're looking at us as if we're the scum of the earth just because they got this. Everybody's not going to be a basketball, football, or soccer, baseball, boxer, entertainer, movie star. Everybody's not going to be that. Everybody can't be that. So we have to deal with that as well.
Yeah, I think when we look at who celebrities, who we put on celebrity status, or who we think they're celebrities, nowhere else in America is a comedian, a football player, a basketball player, a rapper, singer. looked at as someone you should be listening to for advice or anything, or for social change or anything. No one else. The white community don't look for their entertainers to sit up there and talk about politics and what should be happening and what we need to do, and they don't look for them to save anybody. Not to say the white community need to be saved, but I'm saying even if it's some people from a white trash neighborhood and they like a certain rock star or something, they're not looking for them to change their predicament.
Right.
We look at those people that haven't had a good education to start with, probably dropped out of school, and we turn around and look at them. Well, they need to come up with and develop some kind of plan to save us. That's the same thing as the religious thing and everything you're talking about, the political thing, somebody to come save us. Why should a rapper that probably started rapping when he's 15, 16 years old, making millions, not going to college, not going to turn around and have some idea on how to save us? You know, we're not developing people like that. Those people that we're developing, we're not developing people to become rappers. We need professors, we need economists, everything that doctors, you know, to come and say, studied in that field. We need to develop them. Those are educated people that look at things in a certain way. So we should be putting more pressure on them. We put more pressure on our entertainers and rappers and basketball players than we put on our doctors and our scientists and things like that.
Well, they're all in the same boat, if you ask me. It's just one may be have more money, one may have more class, one may have more status. But when it boils down to it, as a people, you know, we have struggled and we continue to struggle talking about politics. The parties that most people are involved in have not done anything for us. And the discussion of what can we do for ourselves, that's not said enough of, because when we say that, like somebody might be watching this broadcast, and as soon as you and I start talking about how we should look to those who look like us, those who, they're going to say that you and I are not speaking the truth because they've fallen in love with these people. How dare you say something about this person that's a basketball player? How dare you say something about this comedian? Your cell phones, it's going to show you all the likes that we do when we go to these people. These people have become our politicians in a sense. Like you said, many of them don't know their you know it from their you know what, but because we have fallen in love with them, some people will fight you if you say something about a person that they like that they don't know. And then when you talk about their mother or father, they won't think that there's anything wrong with that because we've fallen in love with them because their politics, man. They love that
and
stuff.
I don't understand because I don't see that anywhere else in the world. Say like even a violin.
I hear you.
You know,
I hear you.
Like they may not be a rap, but it's a private. Need you to stand up and speak for our rights, and they have and we used to have people. Texas and these things that's what they did. They tried to wake people up, you know. And I don't care where you stand with the Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers, Malcolm. Always somebody. We fought for these. The people that you know, Assata Shakur and things like that. That's what they devoted their lives to. And we don't support them. We don't look at them as celebrities. We don't go to them. But we like this person because he could shoot a basketball. Hey, why ain't he talking up for us? He don't even have the mental capacity to speak up. And when they do speak, a lot of times they speak in ignorance because they are ignorant. They have their own skill. They're doing what they. No one talks about a piano player, a savant. You know, talking political. That's a rarity because they're devoting their lives. There's child prodigies that's devoted their lives to a certain craft, and then no one looks for them to save them. But we look at them because they have the money. But the same money that they gained, when somebody gives you something, they can take it away. They got that money from the system. Somebody likes them. Somebody wants them to play on their team to help them make money. And if they speak out, a lot of times that could be taken away from them.
Yeah, it's true.
And when it is taken away, we don't stand up and say, hey, you know what, y'all did this to Kaepernick. He was making $100 million. Y'all took it away from him. And we're not standing by his side. We always want our celebrities or our ball players to speak up. And when they do, and they get lynched in public, then what we do, we turn our back, and it's like, so what would the other ones do? Why should I speak up? Why should I do that?
Well, the days of the athlete back in the day that stood for social justice, I can run them all down, and you know them too. Jim Brown, you know, we talk about Muhammad Ali, you know, these are the people, you know, John Carlos. These are the types of people that stood for social change, even though they were athletes, you see. And they didn't get many commercials. They didn't get many music deals. They didn't get many record deals. They didn't get many scripts to read, you know. So they really stood for social injustice. So today we're still being oppressed. And you would think that even today, many of those people who are in those positions would say, hey, nothing has changed, because we'll say it in a minute. Nothing has changed, but something has changed. Go back to what we talked about earlier. The mindset that we have now have changed. And this is why a lot of us, we look forward to the day when we can get paid and get our cheddar so we can say that we have arrived and everybody else is no good. And regardless of what we think, this is how people think about us. And then some of these celebrities and these entertainers and these athletes, they turn Republican and Democrat, but they turn Republican because they don't have to pay as many taxes. See, so here you got all that working against us. And it's like we have a beacon of light to say, hey, when are we going to come back and start doing what we can with the little that we have for ourselves to make a change? Because that's where it starts, with people who saying, I'm going to start this, I'm going to start that, I'm going to at least attempt to do it, as opposed to just sitting around voting for somebody, sitting around thinking that one day they're going to drop some crumbs from heaven and you're going to get the crumbs and you're going to instantaneously become this person that you always wanted to be.
And I think where that change should come, it's not changing those celebrities and those people with that status. The change with us are supporting them. You know, we have to, okay, I see us attack our own, that's cannibalistic behavior. We attack some person because they play with some team and we don't like them. And if they're trying to do something for the community, all we do is dog them and take them down. And because we have somebody else we hold at a higher position and he's a threat. Nobody, no black person, no black celebrity, actor, or anybody should be a threat to another. Just because, you know, one person got to hold the spot. You know, we have to stop all this cannibalistic behavior and start developing young people with a mindset, a tribal mindset of us being a community and building a village. The village is not where somebody got to be king. We fighting over who should be king of a village before we develop the village, and they fighting with each other, and everybody's taking sides, and the village is never being built.
And I'd like to ask you this question, and I know the answer, and you know the answer. If someone told you year after year they were going to do something for you and they never did it, after a while you're going to say, man, they full of doo-doo. You know the word, they're full of doo-doo, okay? How many years have we had lip service from both parties? We're talking about politics, that they have promised us a rose garden and all we've got was a bush of thorns.
The Democrats. You being politically correct, the Democrats, because we've always basically voted for the Democratic Party. And this president that's in there today, Biden and Harris, you know, we fell for that hook, line, and sinker.
Yes, we did.
And we had some of our leaders, some of these people that's always talking about going to vote. They hell bent on this dude, and I understand he may have been better than the other, but you're not holding him accountable, and that's what's pissing me off. Because when he's not doing what he said he was going to do, and he's doing stuff for the Asians and every other group, and he's not doing it, we're not being mad. We're not saying, you know what, to hell with you. We're not voting for y'all party again until you start doing this, because we don't work together, for one. Because we could say it here, I could say it, and other people gonna still be running to the polls.
We don't have a political agenda at all, none whatsoever. We don't have anything on the table. Most groups have a political agenda. The homosexuals, the lesbians, the gays, they say this is what we want. And people cast votes for people. When they get in office, they take care of them. But all we do is say, hey, I'm a Democrat. The Democratic Party has been around since the 1800s. But you know the Democratic Party, this is not the same Democratic Party that it was back then. See, neither is the Republican Party. They flipped the script. So what we're dealing with a lot of people who are politically naive, you see. And this is why we're dealing with this systematic neglect the way it's going on now. And a lot of us, for the life of me, we can't see that both parties, not one, and Kevin's not talking about the Democratic Party is better than the Republican, and neither am I. I'm saying it's a bird with two wings. So whichever wing you want to go to, it's that same bird. They're gonna do this.
He said, I see two different wings on the
same.
Bird.
It's the same bird.
So my thing is, what Einstein? We keep doing the same thing. Einstein. Everybody say, oh, Einstein's definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing and looking for a different result. Einstein also had a definition of intelligence. And intelligence is the ability to change. That's what his definition of intelligence is. So if we are unable to change, if we see what's happening and we don't know what to do or how to change it, then what that tell us about our intelligence? You measure intelligence and the ability to change. That's Einstein's definition. So we are being foolish. I don't know
Yes.
what we keep doing it. It's insane.
Yes.
To keep
Yes.
doing, but you have to be able to adapt. If you can't adapt, you can't survive. And we have been shown the inability to adapt to the changes that's attacking us. We have to understand when we are being attacked, or we are continually being attacked and nothing is changing, then we got to develop a way and try to change what is happening to us, even if we got to change it on our own accord.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop looking for somebody else to do it because they're not doing it. Even if you're looking for them to do it, you can ask them to do it. You should still be doing it yourself. I'll be a damn fool if somebody keeps attacking me and I'm saying, "Jah, help me," and I'm not still trying to help myself. And then if you don't help me when the time comes and I keep getting attacked and getting my butt kicked.
Yeah, and there is also what is called limited representation. In other words, you may have some politicians who look like us who are in these political offices, but most of them are what we would call sellouts from the standpoint of they're so afraid, Kev. They're shaking in their boots because they can't come to the table and say, hey, these are the issues that confront my people, you see, because they're so afraid that they're going to be put out and they'll lose what they have. And they want to rub shoulders with other people. They want to appear to be smart. They want to appear to be like other people. But this representation that we have today, many of them, look at these organizations, man, the NAACP. Look at these organizations, the Urban League. When you look at their origin, they've been around since the early 1900s. And now here we are in almost, 2025. And we're still going around in circles as what you just were mentioning, man. We have some serious internal issues that we have to address when it comes to this political arena.
Okay, I'm gonna read a couple of comments from our youth. It's going to come from Ray. He says, Black Power One comment, and he says, pack mentality. He's talking about how everyone just goes. The pack mentality is when they see people some people see things and they just want to be part of the pack. And it's a psychological thing. Somebody sees somebody get off the highway when it's congested. They see them do it, then people start to follow them. When they see enough people do it, then everybody starts to do the same thing, even though they may say that's illegal, But if everybody else doing it, we doing it. I appreciate those comments. He said, politics is financial control that banks and corporations are favored. And I appreciate that. So we need to have our own banks, our own corporations. I don't even think we have any, if not, we don't have that many Black corporations at all. So those are things, if we see it, we have to develop that for ourselves, and that gives us power. He said we suffer from the Black need of leader syndrome. And I think everybody needs a leader. I mean, I don't think that's something that you suffer. Everybody wants a leader. No country doesn't operate without a leader. So you do want a leader, but the thing is, you should have a leader in your household. You should have a leader in your community. A school has a leader. It's called a principal. They have a school board. Leadership is something that is needed. But I don't think it's a syndrome of need. I think it's something that you should expect, and everybody should expect leadership in our community amongst our people. I'm gonna read another comment. He said, the Black rich tokens. These are just comments. He said, we are not the only race who fight amongst their own race. And I'm not saying that we are. Now, I understand that. So just because I'm saying that but I'm talking about the cannibalism. Because when everybody else fights among themselves, they also help themselves when it comes to outside groups. The Jews fight amongst each other, but they will fight you if you say something about a Jew or about their mentality or Israel. The Asians, they don't like that. The Japanese and Chinese has been enemies for centuries. But you say something about the yellow race or you call them a certain name, then they won't stop Asian hate, stop Asian, because they know that if somebody comes into a spot, they don't care, like, are you Korean, are you Japanese, are you Chinese? They're going to do it because they're Asian. So what they do is stop Asian hate. So I'm not saying that other races don't fight and bicker, but when we fight and bicker and we don't do the other part, then all we doing is fighting and bickering.
Tearing each other down. I'd like to ask the question. I know there are more comments probably, but I'd like to go back to that question of leadership, which I understand that, people into leadership and all of that, but I'd like to ask the interrogative. What kind of leader are you interested in? When is a man or a woman considered as a leader? Why are these people leaders? Who told you that you were a leader? See, these are some of the questions that these politicians will never answer. Just because I give you a vote and you win an office, I still have to dive deep into what type of person are you? What kind of man are you? Are you this scoundrel that all you want to do is rake people over the coals and get money? Are you this con artist where all you're doing is using flowery words to get me to vote for you so that you can oppress me? So these are the kinds of questions, as you mentioned earlier, that we don't ever ask once a person becomes whoever they are. We just say, hey, we voted for them. They speak for the masses of the Black people because they're African Americans, because they're in power, and we have to roll with it. Even if I catch you doing something that you shouldn't do, instead of us saying as a group, get him out of there, he's not fit. What we say is, well, nobody's perfect. You can't, everybody's wrong, as opposed to holding people accountable. And that's how a lot of these people, politicians, they can do us the way they want to do us because they know that we're not going to. If I know I can treat you any kind of way, I'm gonna keep doing it because you're not gonna do anything. And this is how they see us. They take us for granted.
All right, I'm gonna read a comment because it's very relevant to what you were just saying. Well, Ray said, who's the white race leader in America, or the Asian leader, or the Indian leader, or the Black people? He said, Black people are the only ones who need a race leader. You think so? I'm gonna tell you what. You want to go ahead?
No, go ahead. You chop at the bits.
I'm gonna tell you who the white race leader is in America.
Who is it?
If it's for the Democrats, it's Biden right now.
Mm-hmm.
If it's for the Republicans, it's Trump.
Mm-hmm.
That's writing on the wall right there.
Okay.
So, but when you talk about the Indians, it's going to be whoever is the president of India.
Okay. Okay.
Or they're gonna have their religious head, Buddha, whoever they Hinduism, whoever I go to people's houses and whatever, I can tell they have some kind of religious person on the wall from their country. And if you go to an Asian restaurant, you may even see some guy up there with their candles around him, and you don't know who the hell that guy is. He's some guy in a shroud or something like that. He may be from their country or whatever, but that's who they look up to.
Okay.
They got their own country and their own background of who they believe in, who's a leader. Now, it's not made in America. They're not supposed to have a leader of their race, but they have a leader of their people.
I got you.
And when you go to now, when you ask us for Black people, who is our leader for Black race? It's not a leader for the Black race. We have leaders. We have Martin Luther King was a leader. Malcolm X was a leader. Medgar Evers was a leader. We have civil rights leaders. We have humanist leaders. Whatever you want to call it, we've always had leadership. We have leadership in our communities.
I definitely want to jump in on that. Now, you left nothing for me but the crumbs about this, but I'll take the crumbs when it comes to that question because you answered it very well. But I want to add to that question because the answer is, who's the white leader? It's a group of people who have the same mindset to continue to oppress those who look like us, those who continuously always begging and kowtowing down to people. It's a group of people by majority who thinks the same way, who want to make sure they remain in power. It's not a quote unquote a one person, although that may be the figurehead, but it's a group of people. A lot of times we often say things like the white man. Then we may say something about the government. We may say something about these people, but we have to look at these are actual people. This government is not an abstract concept. These are people who run countries. These are people who have the same mindset, and their mindset is they don't have to get in a room like you and I and lay out what we're going to do and then try to present it. They already know their main goal is to keep the African American man and woman under their tutelage, to keep passing policies that's going to make sure that the African American man and woman gets the short end of the stick. This has been going. We've been here. So that's the answer to who the leader is. A group of people who all think alike, who want to maintain whites over those who don't look like them.
Right. You took that out. I was going to say that again. America is a leader.
Yeah.
America is the white people's leader. The one that preserved this system is the white people's leader. Whoever's going to do it best, like I said, if they're going to fight tooth and nail for whoever they think the leader of this country should be. And once that person gets to office, then white people are still taken care of no matter what. And it doesn't matter. This country, the system is the white people's leader. Now, when you're talking about some immigrant group, you know what I'm saying? If you go to a Mexican family house that deals with Mexico, they know who the Mexican president is. Some of them they dealing with something from their country or some figurehead, but they don't need who needs.
Right.
Who needs a leader more than those people that are lost?
And we get so. The thing when you look at Adolf Hitler, and we know what Adolf Hitler did, and many other men came into that as well. But we always talk about Germany as if he was the only one that was doing it. Kevin, he wasn't the only one. He was a part of a country that had the same ideologies and the same mindset. Exactly. So it wasn't just one man. And oftentimes these so-called leaders, they get the bum rap, you know, Mussolini, Stalin, Genghis Khan, and all these people. But we have to see that there were a group of people who made sure that what he wanted happened, because he didn't do it by himself.
He had to appeal to somebody. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't some dude that just had his own, and nobody else was like, man, I ain't with that dude. Yeah. But I like the way he talked. No, and he said, Ray said, Trump is a political representative. A representative of whom? Of what? That's the question. Who is he representing?
He's representing white racists and fascists, those with that kind of mentality. So that's the question that I'm glad you...
To make America great again. Yeah. Those that got a mindset to make America great again, and you gotta, if you can't read between the lines on what that is, and it's keeping a certain people that they felt like they was losing their foothold on this country, especially when they had Obama winning the presidency. I was listening to the Rush Limbaugh shows, and they said, "Are we losing this country?" And you listen to these people. It's a Republican lady from representative from Arizona. Before that guy went down to, I believe, El Paso, or when he shot up the mall, they were talking about America. She made a speech. America is not going to be the same by 2036. It's going to be a different majority. So what's happened is it was a rash of shootings against Hispanics because they were growing so fast, so they have to control that. That's the lower mindset of how you control it to go kill people or to get them out of your country. And now you want to control the border. You want to do all these things like that instead of buying into the lie of this melting pot. America has never been a melting pot.
Well, been like a tossed salad or something.
Yeah, everything is individual, and we got a main course meal that we got to preserve. The rest of y'all out of sides.
Yeah.
That's there to help the man.
That is so true. When I think about King Leopold of Belgium, who killed more people than Hitler ever killed, you know, and I'm not trying to say that because he killed more, this and that. Killing is killing, but Hitler killed, they say, 6 million, 7 million people. King Leopold killed over 10 million Africans in the Congo. And so what I'm trying to get at making this point is, if we're looking at what Hitler did and what King Leopold did, look at the American government and how many people's lives were destroyed and changed, all in the name of a political party here or there, whether it was Democrat, whether it was Republican, whether it was the Federalists, whether it were the Whigs, you know, whatever the party was, they all had the same, and they still do today. Nothing has changed. They have the same mindset, and that mindset is, we're going to make sure that you would never usurp rather the power and authority that I have, and by any means necessary, in opposite how Malcolm said it, they're going to make sure that these people stay in top and that you give us politics.
It's preservative. That's what you're talking about. Liberal, Democrats, conservative. It's a preservative. Whoever gets in office is going to preserve the American way of life.
Exactly.
And if you don't believe me, I don't care if Trump is not in office. Has anything changed as far as the power structure in this country? When Obama was in office, did anything change as far as the power structure in this country?
We fell for that though, brother, because we looked at it like there's a black man who's in office. And
it's improvement. We're thinking that's improvement, but it's not going to change anything. Dude, you know what I'm saying? It's not going to change. I don't care. I mean, no president is going to change this system. They get rid of the president that goes too far and try to change the system. They can use them. Okay, you're a poster child. You looks great. Trump getting off. He's not controlling. He's a poster child for a certain group of people. But America is don't make no mistake on what she is about. What she is. She don't care about who red, blue. It's been a majority capital. At certain times, it's been all blue or all red, and it hasn't.
And it's not going to change, because in 1787, when they so-called framed now the United States Constitution, they made sure they set in place. We weren't even at the meeting. We were considered as 3/5 humans. There were no women there. There were no African American men. There were no African American women there. There were no Latinos there. There were 50-something white men. Made these policies that even today they're still affecting us. And when you and I say, hey, we need to do the same thing for our own people, people say no, because you didn't go the right way. You didn't join a political party and do it. You did it on your own, which I'm saying, what difference does it make if you're helping me and my people achieve something that we don't have for our betterment, why would I say that I void and I'm gonna nullify what you did just based on the fact that you didn't go through a political party?
Yeah, what color jacket you got on?
They tell me that about my school. They say the same thing about my school, and I always correct people when they say, "Well, you know, what kind of standardized testing are you giving?" And I look at them and say, "When you say standardized testing, what are you talking about? You're talking about the implicit child. The implicit child is a white boy or a white girl, have given them the information to what they want these scores and stuff to be, and then we try to measure up to them. So you just standardized testing. Who's the one who made it standard? Who are you using as the thing has an origin? And because we're so unintelligent, many of us, and we don't asking those interrogative questions, we keep thinking, well, because he doesn't have standardized testing, I don't want my children to go to his school. When all that is a Eurocentric ideology of education, and we bought into that, and that's what's wrong with us now today. And it's political.
I'm gonna read a comment from Barbara Roy. She said, "I am founder CEO of GENIF Royalty, where I guess we're prepared and distribute nutrition meals to the homeless and others in my apartment community." She said, "This is funded out of my pocket, and I get angry every time I see the funding that is poured into the organizations." And I gotta hit see more. I'm sorry. She said the organizations in the city who are doing the same thing as myself, but haven't been able to get a penny from grants. Because of my economic situation, I haven't been able to afford it, and as often as I once did. She said, "This is more of the reasons why we are a people need to become a force to be recognized or recognizable and supportive of our own." She said, "Den of royalty." She corrected, I guess, what she was wrote before. We can do. And this is my thing. I'm glad you brought things like that up. When we try to feed each other or feed the homeless, what gets me is people say, you know, give these donations to feed the homeless and do all this stuff like this. I'm like, why are we people that's fighting for crumbs having to feed the homeless? Charge your government with that. America waste is trillions of dollars a year. I looked at some reports that every year when they do the budget, it's $1 trillion that they can't even fine. So I mean, the thing is, when you want to get into the politics of things like that, but you have to understand, when you're scraping for every nickel and dime to do something like you're doing, which is a good thing, and the government is wasting money and giving money to the Europeans or somebody else and giving money. We give $10 million a day to Israel. These are things that you should be charging candidates with when you talk about politics or you talk about voting. If they're not gonna, you got people on our streets that's hungry, mainly that look like us, and some of them that look like just a person of color. If they're not going to stop doing what they're doing and supporting a country like Israel, that's a terroristic country, and you're giving money to them, or you're giving money to what's the country that Russia jumped on? Ukraine, and you're giving them money, and they come over here and they could get these things. Charge your candidates with that. Charge these candidates with that, and that's what I'm saying. Using politics for your benefit, but don't rely on them. See, and don't believe in them to do what they, but you still hold them accountable.
And see, that's why a lot of us don't get the funding that we need because of politics. Because see, we don't play these games, these penny ante games. We don't kiss nobody's butt to get money. You know, we don't kowtow and bow down and scratch when we're not even itching, because a lot they know how to, Kevin, it's a science. They know how to do it. Politics is big business. It's big money. And a lot of us African Americans, we found out how to do it. And so what we do is we run for these candidacies and we get these offices and we become the same people that these other people are. In case in point, if you look at today in our country, you're talking about corruption, man. The Supreme Court is corrupt. The president and his son, the ex-president, his mama, they mama, my brother, this is a corrupt country which we live in, but we always want to see this as, oh no, it's just the African American who's the drug dealer. There's the African American who's always going, doing wrong. But the whole country we live is corrupt. They came over here and took this land from our ancestors. They did everything you could think of. But now, politically speaking, now they want you to throw a vote at somebody to say, well, this is the Democratic Party. This is the way it's supposed to be done. This is the Republican Party. This is the democracy. This is the process. When basically it's nothing but a con game, man. And when you catch on to the con game, you will realize that you're not the John Kerry show. No politician, if they watch this show, I promise you, we can write as many grants, we can make the words flowery as we want. We're not going to get one red cent because that's to their detriment, because they don't want to be exposed as we're doing tonight.
Now, if we develop our own, like they have their own, and I'm not saying that ours is going to be equal, but it could be equitable to where we could take care of our own people. We could build our own hospitals, and nothing's stopping us from doing that. There's no policies that's stopping us from doing that. It's just within us to want to do that. If we could have we do have banks, but we don't support our own banks. So when you talk about stuff like that, and the common person, we look at celebrities or who's doing this, and our politicians is going to school in their system. They're being taught in their system. The system is not going to give you tools to destroy the system. And so we have to have the mindset, and those that have a mindset for our people to develop our own. But we have to begin to do that and support it, because one person sitting up there talking about doing it. Josh talking about having a school and not just talking about it, but doing it, but you're not getting the support. So what difference it make if you're going to sit up here and just bitch and complain and talk about what we don't have and what they do have, and so throw your hands up. I don't want nobody to throw their hands up. I want them to get their hands busy.
Right. But you know what you're talking about previously to what you just said, that last part I'm with you. The other part I have too, but that is not the American way. So
right, that's cultural assimilation. That's culture, and we're assimilating to a system that's destroying us. That's what I'm saying. That individual mindset, that individuality, that mindset, that's not tribalism. So we have to get together, and you know what? Instead of being part of the red party, the blue party, I'm part of the black party. I'm part of the Black Panther Party, whatever. I don't care what you want to call it. But see, we have parties, have our own party, and you know what? Y'all not invited to our party. We're going to party hardy here, and we're going to get things together ourselves, but we're going to deal with y'all because we got to deal with the system, but we're not going to sell into the system.
Right. So many of us, Brother Kevin, so many of us, and I'm telling you now, and you know this, but so many of us, where we go wrong is we want to be like them. So we want to be them. In fact, we want to not just look like them, bleaching skin and all this stuff that's going on in all these countries in Africa and even here. We don't want to be who we are. So we want to live in this place, this magical place where we escape everything that's really happening to us. And so we have a mentality, man, that has been just drug all over the country. And if you don't say, well, how did you get that? I got it by vote, which you never get. But if you don't say that, as I said earlier, people will look at you cross-eyed because they figure that you coming in as a crook or a thief or something like that, as opposed to seeing that the real crooks and the real thieves are the ones who are in power right now. These are the ones who's taking money from our ancestors, from our elders. These are the ones who put us in these different places. And then when you say, okay, brother, well, let's try to find our own place. Let's fund our own place. Now, we can't do that because the government or the European didn't sanction that. And if they sanction it, okay, it's okay. But if you just come up grassroots, as we're talking, these types of words are strange to the ears because most of us aren't used to that.
You have to have people that know. You have to go to people that have some type of knowledge of how to do things. Unfortunately, a lot of times, those people that have that type of knowledge on how to do things like that, that look like us, they're working with the system. They don't believe in it. But we have to develop our own. We need people that's in agriculture.
Yeah.
We need people that's in construction, engineering, and all of that stuff with a mindset of helping ourselves. Now, people up here, you complain. If you sit up here and you're commenting about anything negative about what we're saying, give us some answers about positive. I don't need to argue with you about what I think.
Right.
Give me some. I want to debate with you on how the way to go on correcting the issue. I haven't seen comments like that. What we need to do to correct this issue that we're having. That's the hardest thing to do. It's easy to complain because it's good. I mean, man, we can complain like a mother, man. But you know what? How about getting together and say, okay, brother, what can we do? Not you know, you want to comment, You know, comment, but nobody's saying, so what do you think we could do?
Application. It's application.
Even if you don't know what it is to do, or maybe we need to get together and find some people that can do these that go to banking or something like that. You know,
application is so crucial in any civilization. Application has been the focal point that made people where they are. They applied something to get to where they are. In many instances, we're theoretical. You know, everything for the most part is theory. It's not practical. And this is why when we talk about these kinds of subjects, you're not going to get that many comments, because we're not used to saying, okay, let's have a meeting. In today's meeting, we're going to all bring application. Here's the issue. What can we do to change this issue? No, we want to talk about the issue till the cows come home, and the issue's still there. But see, that's what politics it does for us. It makes us talk about the issue and never do anything, and give a piece of paper thinking that some man or some woman is going to change this, opposed to us as a group saying, damn that, let's go ahead and do something about our communities. All these things we're griping and complaining about, what can we do? And you're going to find out most of the time when you call that meeting, you're going to probably be the one that shows up.
We need leadership. That's what we need. When you talk about Black Sheep, why do we need leadership? Because we are in a place that needs to be led somewhere else. When you're leading someone, that means you're taking them out of someplace. They're following you. To follow somebody, that means you have to have movement. We have to have movement in a different direction. Instead of moving behind the leadership of this country that means it's no good, we need to find somebody that's going to help us lead, or find a bunch of individuals going to help lead us out of the predicaments. And it may take centuries. I don't care how long it takes. Because if it took centuries and it started a century ago, then we wouldn't be talking like this. If wherever we got to start getting out of where we're going. Because Lao Tzu said, if you continue where you're going, you're going to end up in a bad place. If you don't change where you're going, then nothing's going to change. You don't change your direction, then nothing's going to change. We keep heading in the same direction. Let's talk about changing our direction. Let's talk about leading some people, even if I am not the head of it. If I say, well, you know, have you heard of this guy, Marcus Garvey? If I was back at that time and I'd be telling somebody about him, I say, man, he's a guy that's talking like this. Then I didn't lead you to water. I done led you to water. That's thank me for that or whatever. Make somebody aware of something. But if you just sit up and complain about it, then nothing's gonna change, and we're gonna be in the same predicament.
Well, you know, it's 7:30 our time. So we go and get out of here. But you know, Kev, this is good. Time has flown by. Even though we started late, we gave you some extra minutes. So again, this is like a game. We went into overtime. So we're excited about you guys watching this and hanging in there with us. And we every now and then we do these kinds of pop-up shows when we can't get together on Saturday. So just get your notification and hopefully you can chime in. I don't know if the phone lines were up tonight, but even if they weren't,
the phone lines was up.
Okay.
But, I want to play this video, man.
Okay, now we'll let you hear this video that we were talking about.
All right, so that's the video we was trying to play, and that says it all, man. That's the Democrat and a Republican talking about how to use people.
Wow, what a way to end the broadcast.
I appreciate everyone that showed up, all the comments, and hopefully we have a better show, a smoother show for y'all next time. Kevin and Ja on the Kevin Ja Show.